Welcome to Justice Now, and you've reached part 14 of the series Workplace Mobbing. In this video, we're going to discuss the emotion of anger and how anger can be destructive or it can be a positive force. Just about any tool, word, feeling, physical action, existence, they all have a dual purpose. The dual purpose is either it's going to benefit you or it's not going to benefit you. And that's how anger works. Oftentimes, anger can be destructive internally or externally. Internally, in which the individual who is targeted self-medicates, either through alcoholism, through food, through nicotine or other substance, and their body suffers as a result. I know for myself, I had internalized the anger. I emotionally ate, and I ended up gaining 30 pounds as a result. I'm in the process of trying to reverse that. I'm going to let you know how that can be done in part by reframing your emotion. However, sometimes it could be so internally unbearable for some of the targets, regardless if they have supports or not, that they contemplate suicidal ideation, or they actually commit suicide. A lot of the suicides that we hear about, of which people don't really know what's occurred, may lead to workplace mobbing. I wouldn't doubt if a lot of them lead to workplace mobbing, and it's horrible. I mean, it's a type of crime where the murderer or murderers get away scot-free, right? They've tormented an individual to the point that the individual cannot bear to exist anymore. And that's, people who engage in that are just evil. So then we go to anger, destructive but external. And that could be, a major outburst or meltdown where the target has had so much and they've had so much pent-up frustration and anger and hurt from this experience that was brought onto them. They didn't invite it. It was brought onto them by the perpetrators. That they will react by yelling, swearing, throwing items, acting out of character. It's typically not their character to do that. But because they've been provoked so much, they're out of character. And it could lead to the point of an individual just being so tired of being provoked that they will get a weapon, be it a gun, a knife, any other destructive weapon, explosives, and actually, in their own way, solve their own problem to the detriment of themselves and those who are either hurt or lost their lives. So that is the destructive force of anger. Oftentimes, when people are provoked, there isn't much support, or the support is very time limited, in that the target person may get to speak about it one or two times, but after the third or fourth, those who the target thinks are people who are supporting them get tired of it and don't wish to assist, or don't wish to sympathize, or much more important, empathize with what the target is going through. So then the target feels even more isolated and more traumatized. And I mean, it might seem kind of weird when I say this, but in that process, the target becomes insane. And I know you're going to say, Justice, now, why are you saying the target becomes insane? Well, let me give you my definition of insanity. My definition of insanity is not repeating the same thing over and over and over again. To me, repeating the same thing over and over and over again is habit, or ritual, or repetition, or some other adjective that describes an action being repeated over and over and over again. I mean, the wheels turn while we drive it on the road over and over and over again. The wheels wouldn't be insane. That's what they're designed to do. I know it's a poor metaphor. I'll find something a little bit better to replace it with. I just haven't thought of it. That was just the first thing that came to mind. However, my definition of insanity, and it's evoked, or it's evoked and invoked onto the target by the perpetrators and their supporters, their other perpetrators that work alongside them. My definition of insanity is deliberately ensuring that a problem remains unsolved to the point that it harms and it's detrimental to the target, and it impacts their day-to-day life, spiritually, mentally, physically. You see, what happens is the perpetrators, they have an issue with you. They don't want to find resolution. They are passive aggressive and very cowardly about this. So what they would much rather do is they'd much rather torture you by ensuring that they create things that you cannot resolve. As human beings, our desire to find resolution is very strong. This is where hope comes from. This is where dreams come from. This is where confidence comes from. This is where self-esteem comes from. This is where independence comes from. A lot of the things that helps us to be well-rounded human beings comes from the ability to solve problems. However, the perpetrators use lies, innuendos, manipulation, and just, I mean, they're just evil. But they create these things to ensure that you do not solve the problem. The problem that you're trying to solve is, how do I stop this pain? How do I stop this pain? The perpetrators, their agenda is how to induce more pain onto you. So if the perpetrators were to help you to stop the pain, then there would be no further reason to induce the pain onto you, right? And so you're operating with the agenda of ensuring that you stop the pain. They're operating with the agenda of ensuring they induce the pain. And they do that by making sure that they are creating problems that don't exist. I mean, anything by you breathing is a problem, right? Like in the perpetrators' minds, this is how they do it. They take things that are seemingly, day to day, that are seemingly not an issue, and they blow it up to the extreme. So they take those things to ensure that you do not solve the problem. And when you're not able to solve the problem over a long period of time, that creates a certain degree of insanity. It creates frustration and it creates a lot of anger. And then when you come to the realization that all this was premeditated, it creates more anger, it creates shame, it creates guilt. And then people, like targets, end up internalizing it, thinking, was it me? Did I do something? No, you didn't do anything. You did what you needed to do. You went to work, and you went to work according to the job description. You happened to be stellar at your job, and people got envious. And because they didn't know how to figure out their issues, they heaped it onto you, and you're trying to find resolution to stop the pain. But they don't want to stop the pain for you. They don't want you to find a resolution. So that creates insanity. So that's my definition of it. And everybody can have their own definitions. That's fine. But that's what occurs. So how can we turn this around? Well, anger also has another function. Anger can provide energy, because that's what anger is. Any emotion really is energy, and how you choose to use that energy. So that energy can be used to motivate you to work on solutions in the present. You see, the perpetrators, they want to keep you in the past, where you like fixate on how you've been tormented, and they want to keep you in the future and how they will torment you in the future, so that your mind will start thinking about, oh my goodness, they're going to keep doing this again, indefinitely, until they decide, they want to stop. But for you, you need to keep in the present. So anger in the present is the most potent and most beneficial. When you utilize anger in the present, it can help to energize you, motivate you, call you to action. And what are some of the things you can do? You can stand up for yourself and advise that, and set boundaries, advising, nope, you're not going to be treated in such disrespectful manner. It can prompt you to really review your policies and procedures at work, so that you get familiarized with it. It can also prompt you to look for other opportunities outside, so that you can strategize. It can propel you to do many things that will be to your benefit. And that's what I urge targets to try and do, is find things to their benefit. Okay, this is about to run out, so I'm going to do another video.